For this video, we will concentrate on new medicines. Medicines can be found in lots of places, but generally fall into one of three categories. Those you can buy at your local store without a prescription, those that you can only get at a pharmacy with a doctor's prescription, and those that can only be obtained while in a hospital or clinic. However, some other things that would go through a clinical trial could be medical devices. A medical device is basically any machine that helps diagnose an illness or help a patient overcome their sickness. An example of a device would be the defibrillator that you may have seen hanging on a wall at your school or possibly at a sporting event. Another example could be an insulin pump to help people with diabetes. A medical procedure, such as a new way to perform a surgery, would be another example of something that would go through a clinical trial. Many of us are familiar with getting medicines from the supermarket or grocery store or potentially the hospital or your doctor's office. But what does it take for that medicine to be available for all of us? What steps are needed to develop a new medicine? How long does it usually take? How many different things need to be done? What kind of jobs do the people have that work on each step of this process? For the rest of this video, we will attempt to answer these questions and show you how a new medicine goes from an idea through the clinical trial process. Each new medicine starts with an unmet medical need. But what is an unmet medical need? Maybe a certain illness or disease doesn't have a current treatment. Perhaps our treatment can be done more safely and with fewer complications. Or perhaps it may be even able to be done with less cost so that it would be available to more people. In other words, an unmet medical need is an opportunity to improve the health for a particular population of patients with an illness. And research scientists, like myself, formulate ideas to address that medical need. This idea to address the unmet medical need is our hypothesis, which will then be tested with experiments to see if the idea is true or false, because in reality, we do not know beforehand if it will be true. For example, a hypothesis for preventing COVID-19 is that a vaccine will teach our immune system to develop antibodies that neutralize SARS-CoV-2, the virus which causes COVID-19 symptoms, and thus will prevent us from getting infected. This is certainly a key idea to address a large unmet medical need right now. Data from our tests are analyzed, and then we can conclude from that analysis whether or not our original hypothesis was true. This testing and analysis of an hypothesis is a key feature of the scientific method, which you may have learned about already. The scientific method is a key feature in all experiments and is the foundation of clinical trials to make sure that we have validity and confidence in our results that we obtain in our experiments and tests. Future medicines usually start as many ideas, sometimes even thousands, as you can see in the funnel diagram to my left, in a process we call drug discovery, where scientists like myself try to find the most promising drug candidates using many different kinds of experiments. Once the most promising options are identified, scientists test a small number of these in more complex experiments to determine if the drug works as expected. This is known as its efficacy, and also appears safe in a living organism. When the researchers feel they have sufficient data to support their hypothesis that the potential drug is likely to have a positive benefit effect for patients and unlikely to have unacceptable side effects, also known as toxicities, they present their findings to the governmental regulatory agency, which in the United States is the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. This presentation is a formal document called an Investigational New Drug Application, or IND. The FDA reviews the IND and may ask for additional information or tests before allowing clinical trials to be developed on those candidates. Other countries have their own regulatory agencies, and similar documents would need to be submitted if the drug were to be tested in those other countries. As you can see on the funnel diagram to my left, many ideas enter the funnel, and only a few remain at the end. And between the top and the bottom, there's a lot of time, people, effort, experiments, and of course money. It is the few that remain at the end that are able to have the IND be submitted and move forward in the process of running clinical trials.